friend. Like, let's call her Anna.
Okay, Anna.
Right. And she is just this absolute blueprint of a straight-A student. Highly organized, entirely reliable, always at the top of her class.
Right, we all know someone like that.
Exactly. But now, imagine her final exam results come out, and to everyone's absolute shock, she completely bombs.
Wait, really? Like she failed?
She fails completely. And when you sit her down and ask her what happened, you're expecting to hear about some family emergency or a sudden health crisis.
Yeah, something that explains a total drop like that.
Right. But instead, she admits that she just couldn't stop looking at a 5-inch piece of glass in her hand.
Wow. It just sounds absurd when you frame it like that. A lifetime of academic discipline completely derailed by a glowing screen.
It really does.
But the wild thing is it's happening constantly.
It is. And that story about Anna, it isn't hypothetical. It's an actual cautionary tale pulled directly from our source material for today's deep dive.
Yeah, and today's source material is actually really fascinating. We are looking at a transcript from an English language learning channel.
Right. It's called Speak English Smartly.
Exactly. And on the surface, these are just scripted, everyday dialogues designed to help beginners, sound more natural in English.
But our mission today is to dig deeper. Because when you actually strip away the grammar lessons and look at what the characters in these conversations are saying, there is a massive underlying theme.
There really is. The conversations are hiding some heavy philosophical questions right in plain sight.
They are. We're exploring two seemingly completely different topics discussed in the transcript today. One is about the very modern trap of social media addiction, and the other is a fierce debate between two friends about love marriages versus arranged marriages.
Which is quite the pivot.
Talk about mental whiplash, right? Social media habits and arranged marriages. But there's a really clear thread connecting them.
Yeah, because both of these casual conversations are actually circling around the exact same core human struggle.
Yes. The constant everyday battle between our immediate emotional impulses and the desperate need for intentional long-term structure in our lives.
It really just comes down to whether you're living by design or living by default.
So well said. So let's start with living by default, because that first dialogue, it's between a guy named Robin and his friend, and it is just brutal in its honesty.
It is. They're talking about Facebook and Instagram and the sheer amount of time they waste scrolling.
Yeah, they readily admit it's a full-blown addiction, and they point out that it's actively ruining their productivity at work.
And that is exactly where they bring up their mutual friend, Anna.
Right. Anna represents this total disruption of an established pattern.
Yeah.
The speakers in the text are just baffled by her failure.
Yeah, and what's crucial here is the actual mechanism of her failure, because she didn't consciously decide to trade her academic future for online chats.
No, of course not.
The conversation highlights that she started spending all her dedicated study time messaging online friends and just, posting daily pictures.
Right. And I want to pause on that because I feel like we toss around the phrase social media addiction so much that it's kind of lost its bite.
Oh, absolutely. We think of it as just a bad habit, like biting your nails or something.
Exactly. But if I'm looking at Anna's behavior in the text, it seems so much darker. It feels like we are all walking around with a digital slot machine in our pockets.
That's a great analogy.
Right. You keep pulling the lever, posting a picture, checking a notification, just to get that tiny dopamine hit of a like. But you are paying the casino with your future, just like Anna did with her grades.
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, the text questions, what we actually get out of giving likes and posting photos, why are we so easily tricked into trading our real-world success for this, digital validation?
Well, what the source is highlighting here is basically a crisis of unintentional living.
Unintentional living.
Yeah. The speakers in the text literally note that people don't even realize how much time they're wasting. And the source makes a very pointed observation about studying.
What do they say?
They point out that studying requires time and dedication. And dedication isn't just about sitting in a chair, right? It requires sustained focus, which is entirely incompatible with the fractured attention span that social media demands.
So it's an erosion of focus.
Exactly. Every time you check for a like, you are breaking that dedication.
Wow. Okay, so we've identified the trap that caught Anna, but how does the source suggest we actually escape it? Like, how do we move from the problem to some actionable solutions for intentional living?
The text actually offers several strategies. They discuss setting daily time limits, like physically putting the phone away after a certain point.
Okay, sure.
They also suggest taking 1 to 2 week social media breaks and even starting a social media detox challenge with friends and family.
Okay, I have to play devil advocate here. I'm going to push back on that idea of a temporary detox.
Go for it.
Is a 1 week break really fixing the issue? Or is just a temporary bandage? I mean, think about crash diets. If you fast for a week, you might feel incredibly disciplined. But the second the challenge is over, you usually go right back to eating junk food, right?
Yeah, that's a very valid point.
The underlying appetite hasn't changed.
And that's exactly why abstinence alone rarely works long term. But what's interesting is that the source actually has an ultimate solution that validates your point.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they realize it's not just about reducing use, it's about fundamentally changing how we use it.
Changing the environment.
Precisely. The source advocates for curating your feed, following accounts that inspire you or teach you something new rather than just mindlessly scrolling.
Okay, I love that.
Right. It's about ensuring social media, as they say, adds value to our lives rather than extracting it. They're trying to build an intentional structure to protect themselves from their worst impulses.
And this is the moment where stepping back and looking at the source material as a whole just blew my mind.
Oh, yeah, the pivot.
Yes. Because if you take that underlying logic, this idea that we have to deliberately design structures to protect us from our own impulsive nature, and you apply it to the second conversation in the transcript.
It's the exact same blueprint, just
Yeah.
applied to a massively different scale.
Exactly. We go from the micro choices of our daily habits to the absolute biggest macro choice a human being can make.
Right, from how we curate our screen time to how we curate our lifetime commitments.
Yes. The second half of this transcript features a fierce debate between Ronica and Robin about arranged marriages versus love marriages.
And Robin takes the stance of the love marriage.
Yeah.
His argument is that you get the freedom to choose your partner and you already know them well before tying the knot.
Which, is the standard operating procedure for most of the Western world.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Ronica counters with the case for the arranged marriage, a traditional approach where the families get involved to choose a partner compatible with you, supporting your goals.
She's advocating for an external structure.
Exactly. And there's this one line from the text regarding arranged marriages that I found so fascinating. The idea that you work on building love and understanding with your partner over time.
It's a complete reversal of the script.
It really is.
Good.
Can you unpack that reversal for us? Like starting with commitment and building passion rather than starting with passion and hoping for commitment.
Sure. If we impartially break down the structural logic of the arranged marriage argument presented in the text, it's actually quite methodical.
Okay.
The families are looking at factors way beyond just liking someone, because liking someone is an emotional impulse.
Right. It's a feeling.
But the families look at family background and long-term compatibility. They act as an external, rational filter for the couple.
They're doing the due diligence.
Exactly. They are providing the structure first so the couple has a safe environment to build the emotion later.
That makes so much sense. But obviously, there are inherent risks to both of these relationship models, and they are fiercely debated in the source text.
Oh, they definitely go at it. Let's look at the risks of the love marriage first, as argued in the text.
Right. The love is blind argument.
Exactly. The text argues that people overlook glaring red flags because of infatuation, and crucially, that love can easily fade away.
Which is terrifying if you think about it. If the whole foundation is just an emotion and the emotion fades, the structure collapses.
Precisely. And the text brings up a very specific anecdote to illustrate this. They talk about a college friend who was an excellent student.
Oh, this sounds so much like the Anna story from the first part.
It really does. This friend was a great student, but she got into a relationship. After a bad breakup, she went, quote, mad.
Wow.
Yeah. She stopped focusing on her studies and even wanted to do something terrible.
That is just a stark illustration of an emotional impulse overriding all logic.
And the source asks an incredibly blunt question here. If someone doesn't love you, why are you destroying your life?
It's a profoundly rational question for a completely irrational situation.
Exactly. But we have to look at the other side, too. The risk of the arranged marriage.
Right, because it's not perfect either.
No. The families might choose someone you simply do not like, forcing an incompatible pairing.
It's like comparing two entirely different business models.
How do you mean?
Well, the text's version of an arranged marriage is basically a highly vetted corporate merger. You have board of directors, the families, stepping in to ensure long-term stability and aligned goals.
That's a brilliant way to put it.
Thanks. And in contrast, the love marriage is like a passionate but highly volatile startup.
Oh, yeah.
It has a much higher emotional ceiling, but a way higher risk of completely crashing and burning. Like that college friend who went, quote-unquote, mad.
That analogy perfectly captures the tension between the two. But to round out the discussion, it's important to emphasize the text's ultimate balanced conclusion.
And with that,
They conclude that there is no one-size-fits-all approach.
which is very fair.
Yeah. Whether it's a love marriage or an arranged one, strong relationships only work if both partners are entirely committed to each other and willing to make it work.
It requires intentional effort either way.
Exactly.
Well, looking back at our journey today, it's just wild. We went from the micro choices of our daily scrolling habits all the way to the macro choices of who we spend our lives with.
It's a massive spectrum of decision-making.
It really is.
Yeah.
And both conversations in the source material act as these incredible warnings against blinding ourselves to reality.
Absolutely.
Whether we are hypnotized by a glowing screen like Anna or by glowing infatuation like the college friend, we have to watch out for the traps.
And so for you, listening to this, it's worth examining your own life. Are you operating on pure emotional impulse, or are you acting with intention and structure?
The tough question to answer, honestly. But I want to leave you with a final lingering thought that bridges both of these topics, and it might make you a little uncomfortable. If the source argues that our families are so good at objectively picking our life partners based on long-term compatibility and goals,
Yeah.
imagine if we let our parents completely curate our social media feeds for us.
Oh, wow. That is a terrifying thought.
Right? What would that algorithm even look like? It's something to mull over the next time you blindly reach for your phone. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.